So you want to know what is the best seller lead source for you as a real estate agent? Well, listen, if you've been buying leads from services like Zillow, realtor.com, Bold Leads, Market Leader, Boomtown, or any of these similar platforms right now, understand this. You have zero competitive advantage over all the other real estate agents in your market. These leads come in from sources where the potential buyer or seller doesn't even see you. So when you get that lead, they have absolutely zero idea about who you are, and they're most certainly not expecting you to reach out to them. And the worst part is that these leads are expensive. So when you get the leads, your return on investment on it is not going to be that good, and in many cases you actually just break even or actually lose money with these lead services. And let's say the real estate market just shifts for the worse and your leads dry up. There's nothing you can do about it because you're reliant on these platforms. It's outside of your control. But what is in your full control is your ability to generate your own seller leads. So then what is the best way to generate your own seller leads? What is the best way to get seller clients as a real estate agent without these platforms? So during the last half a decade, I worked with hundreds of real estate agents, helping them with listing client acquisition, and our team has analyzed thousands of agents' listing client generation systems, and I've been able to see behind the scenes of what works and what doesn't work, every imaginable seller lead generation method, and the actual results they produce. And I can tell you that the best seller lead source is actually not a source, but it's a process. And what I mean by this is that you'll never find some sort of magical holy grail source that just gives you leads that are hot, ready to go, and ready to sell their houses right now only with you, and gives you no objections. It just makes you rich in a single event. It's always a series of events that take place in a sequence. And easiest way to think about it is just think about the listings you've had in the past, a year, past 2 years, and think about those clients, think about those transactions. Probably most of them came from your sphere of influence, referrals, or maybe some sort of past client. So what does this mean for you? What does this mean for your marketing? Well, you got all these listings not because you had some sort of magical lead source or some sort of magical software. You got these listings because certain people knew you, they trusted your expertise, and they felt like working with you is a great idea. And you didn't get these people to feel this way about you through, again, some sort of source or some sort of event. It was all a result of a process that the person went through in their minds, in their lives, whether it was meeting them in person a couple times, whether you emailed them, whether you sent them some marketing materials, whether you showcased them your work, or whether you work with them. And really, it was a process that they went through. So really, the question is not what is the best lead source, but rather how do you cultivate that status of being that go-to agent for a local homeowner that currently doesn't know you, doesn't trust you, doesn't see you as an expert. And how do you do that at scale? Instead of getting only a couple people to see that, how do you get thousands of local homeowners to get that outcome? And how do you do that in the best effective, cost-effective way possible, time-effective way possible for your business as well? It's about how can you do what you have already done, what you already know how to do, which is sphere of influence, with people you already know, but at a greater scale with a lot more people. And a crucial thing to understand about this is that there's always opportunity zone in the marketplace. And what I mean by this is that the best seller lead sources or the windows of opportunity to become a local go-to agent have always been changing, and they're always been shifting. So the hot zone that's going to allow you to get a lot of listings and make a lot of money is one that's going to allow you to get in front of thousands of local homeowners, but also one that has very little competition. So very few people are actually doing it. So for example, let's talk about FISBOs, let's talk about expired listings, let's talk about this sort of like grinding it out mentalities. There's a lot of opportunities for you to get in front of a lot of local homeowners that are actively selling, But the problem is, competition is extremely fierce. Only a very small percentage of agents are able to get consistent results by calling FISBOs, by calling expired leads. And that's why actually statistically, about 33% of the listings, when you look at the numbers, they come from referrals, not FISBOs, not expired, not any of these things. And it's usually the people who are telling you to do FISBOs or to do expired or to do some sort of circle prospecting. These are usually the extrovert type, naturally born salespeople who thrive in that cold calling competitive environment. But the truth is, cold calling, circle prospecting, FISBOs, most of the raw CD agent is just not something that's going to be the most best effective use of time for those people, because simply not every person enjoys being on the phones 5 hours a day, talking to random people, getting hung up on, and just spending a lot of time. So cold calling FISBOs, cold calling expireds, cold calling circle prospecting leads, I mean, that certainly works. I mean, if you talk to 1,000, 10,000 people, right, of course you're gonna generate some seller leads that way. But I don't personally think that's the best way or that's the best seller lead source by any means, because it just takes so much manual time, so much manual labor to do that, and also because the competition is just so fierce. There's all these ISA teams, there's all these virtual companies, there's all these other realtors hitting up these same exact people and just trying to sell them just through a phone conversation, which nowadays obviously is very low on a stimulus scale. When we have phones, when we have videos, when we have social media, right, we can do all these things really just by putting out content and getting those local people to see us without spending 5-10 hours a day. Now, so what are the best seller lead sources and what are the best opportunities for you to become the local go-to agent with thousands of local people that meet all these criteria? They're low on time scale, they're low on competition scale, and they produce you seller leads that actually want to work with you. Where do we find that hot zone when it comes down to taking that advantage of that opportunity? Well, we can break this process down into two different categories. There's free and there's also paid. Let's first talk about the free side. The free side is meeting people in person. It's local events, community events, gatherings, making friends with people you meet. It's open houses and so on and so forth. This is also organic social media. It's creating content, talking with people on Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, all these different platforms. Now, these things right now might not come as a surprise to you. You've probably already heard that before, but the difference between making these things work and not work is in the very nuanced subtleties of how you actually do these things. So I'll give you an example. One agent might do YouTube. They produce YouTube videos and they put out 100 videos on YouTube. Now, the videos that they put out are automated, they're generic, they're very kind of quickly put out there and just put it out there, right? And because of that reason, they get 0 new clients as a result, despite again putting out 100 videos on YouTube. Another agent might again put out 100 videos on YouTube, but they actually create the content themselves. They make the videos really good. They learn about the different thumbnails, they learn about the different headlines, they learn about the different optimization strategies, and they actually get 10 new clients as a result of putting out those videos. And then a year later, they're now getting 50 new clients a year from their YouTube. So as you can see, the difference was not in the actual strategy. It was not in the fact that they both used YouTube, but it's in the fact of how well they actually executed the actual strategy. Now, one thing I want to highlight about social media is that out of the thousands of agents our team has talked with, all the agents that were using automated or templated posts on social media had literally no new business from your social media. And this may sound surprising or something new, but it was virtually that way. Almost every single agent I talked to, anytime I heard they were using automated or templated social media content on their platforms or their profiles, they were getting really no results from it. On the opposite side of that, the people who created their own content on social media, they really executed the strategy with their own voice behind it, put a proper thought behind it, use proper strategy behind it, they generated a tons of new clients from their social media almost from the first month. So just like you don't outsource your relationship building that you do in person to your assistant, you can't really outsource your social media content to someone else either. You can get help with it, but you shouldn't outsource it or completely delegate it to somebody else. Just doesn't really work that way. Now let's flip that coin and talk about the other side of the equation, which can be paid strategies. And obviously the very first thing that comes to most people's mind is going to be social media advertising. Most agents are doing some social media advertising, but quite often it's done through some sort of marketing software. It can be KV Core, it can be any other marketing software you're using right now, and you're left in a situation where you are getting a lot of leads coming to you, but you have to do a lot of cold calling, you have to do a lot of chasing. Now this happens because on the front end, you use the marketing software and you look like everybody else, and your marketing was not personalized to you and your exact ideal clients. So you don't want to use a marketing software or put out very generic ads, but instead you should create your own advertising campaigns yourself. Now you have the ability to target your ads to ideal clients specifically. You have the ability to capture these leads in a way where the homeowner, after becoming your lead, they become familiar with you, and this is gonna make your lead nurturing and conversion process a lot smoother because you have the full control over everything. Generally, the best place for agents to run ads on is Facebook and Instagram because they truly have the widest range of demographics possible. Most local people can be targeted on these platforms, and it's also the easiest platform to make your ads profitable. Now, the caveat to this is that most agents are not willing to put in the work to learn this or even do this. And most agents think that running ads is just something that should be outsourced. This takes us to that exact hot zone we talked about earlier. Most people, they are not willing to do this. They're not willing to learn this or do this. And because of that, it has very little competition. There's very few people that are doing this. But imagine the opportunity of this. What if thousands of local people saw you over and over again on social media, consumed that content, and ultimately started to see you as a realtor they want to work with without you even personally calling them, you door knocking on their doors, or you sending them some sort of mailer, right? So this takes us to that hot zone where we still have that opportunity right now today where it's very little competition, but a massive opportunity. The problem is a lot of the times the realtors who are, again, telling themselves like, okay, I can't do social media, or I won't do social media, I won't have time for this, they fail to realize those second and third order consequences of having a generic, non-personalized lead capture system at the front of their marketing system. So even though people always think that, oh well, I don't have the time to create content, they still have the time to chase tons of leads, cold call a bunch of people, and then just be in that position where they're desperately trying to get a cold lead to work with them. They still have time for that, but they don't have supposedly time for creating that unique content that's gonna be there anyway for next 6 months to a year. Now, obviously for people that are willing to go the extra mile and look deeper than most people, this immediately opens up a massive competitive advantage for those real estate agents.